Guys, we were this close. After what's been a nearly year-long ground-up rebuild on my 2018 Dodge Demon, it was finally time to hear it run. With a freshly built engine, a proper manual transmission, and enough go-fast parts to make all the power we could ever want, I pressed the start button, and nothing. Absolutely nothing. The body electronics are thinking that the car's an automatic, while the engine computer's thinking that the car's a manual, and neither system's very happy about it. If we have any hope of hearing this thing run anytime soon, we've got to get this sorted, and I know just where to start. Okay, confession time. This is not at all where I intended to start, but the further we get into the electrical, the more complex it gets. So while we're waiting on some parts and tools, I decided to send the Demon on a bit of a vacation, to get a makeover, if you will.
What's this?
We've used parts off so many different Hellcats during the rebuild of this Demon, and part of me really likes the multicolor look that in some weird way pays homage to that. But now that the car is complete, it kind of feels like we took the easy way out and it just looks unfinished. So today I decided to bring it up here to Top Coat Garage to get the roof, the driver's side, and the front bumper of the car painted in the original red. I am, however, going to keep the fire damage panels on the passenger side exactly as they are. That way it still looks like a cohesive build, but there's enough patina, if you will, that we don't forget where we came from. Oh my God. It doesn't even look like the same car. Well, the burn marks do, but we're gonna ignore that. It looks like a demon, like a real demon. I don't find myself speechless on this channel much at all, but wow. I don't even really know what to say. To see where this car came from, to see what it looked like not that long ago, and to see it look like this, I think we nailed the decision to paint it. Let me know what you guys think, but to walk in the front door and see that, it just looks so tough. Leaving the passenger side burnt gives us just the right amount of rattiness, but painting the rest makes it look like it's not just some pile of trash we hacked together, even though that's exactly what we did. Over the past couple weeks, I have been just a little frustrated with the Demon because of all the electrical issues, but I gotta admit, seeing it like this, running or not, it just feels awesome. Brand new car, I'm telling you.
I actually like this.
It looks good from this angle at least.
But, I mean, I thought it was gonna be perfect.
Well, can't be perfect.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't run, the other side's still burnt. And then there's the fact that we put a ton of time, money, and effort into trying to get this to run. I even tried handing the car off for a week to some actual professionals to no avail. And we've pretty much came to the conclusion that the entire car is gonna have to come back apart and we're gonna have to rewire the whole thing. So yeah, we still got some issues, but at this very moment, none are more pressing than the fact that the car, well, still looks like this. 2.5 days from now, this car has to be at PRI in Indianapolis, which is 10 hours away. I'm currently sitting on the dashboard through the windshield. The math is not math in here. Clearly, we don't have time to dissect the entire car, re-engineer it, and rebuild it in basically 2 days, but we can make it look like a complete car. That way, when we get back, hopefully, we can just do what we need to do wiring-wise, and it's done. Oh, and the glass guys are gonna be here in 3 minutes, so I guess the metaphorical clock starts now. This feels weird. I mean, really weird. Seeing it look like this, with glass in it now, a freshly painted side of the car, compared to what it used to look like, it almost doesn't feel real. This entire series, Fernando and I have been going back and forth about whether this is a car or a shell, but now we're at the point that if a random person happened to walk by this car, I believe they wouldn't suspect anything was up.
Steel chair doesn't run.
Don't even start. Don't start. Look, all I know is about 6 months ago, if a normal everyday person walked past this car, they'd have been terrified. Now, there are a few things we have to do before we load it on the trailer and get on the road. Stuff like the trim, that's all missing. We have to find that and stick that on. We have to do the side skirt. There is just one more thing that's not quite as straightforward as trim or side skirts. This right here, the fact that it goes from rusted metal to fresh new paint just like that, It doesn't really work for me. It rubs me the wrong way. Now, I suppose a wise person would maybe feather some of the red paint down here, make it look like it didn't burn all the way up and we just slapped a new roof on it. Then it would look a lot more cohesive. I think what we're gonna do here is instead of feathering the paint onto the A-pillar, we're gonna feather the patina onto the roof.
Do you really need all the safety stuff?
Oh, you can never be too safe. Grab the other thing.
The other thing?
The other thing. Now, hear me out, guys. I realize that at first glance this seems like cause for concern, but I have used this once or twice. It should be fine. This is the best day of my life. Genuinely the best day of my life. So what we can take away from this, at least so far, this paint's really tough. Kind of seems like there's an art to this. You don't want to give it too much heat and warp the roof. Definitely don't want to do that. You know what I just realized?
Uh-huh. That feels good.
It feels really good.
Yeah.
The bacon grease is on fire.
It's well done, right?
Like I said, the best day of my life. I'm sure everything is fine here. This is quite fun, and I mean quite fun. But it's requiring a lot of heat and a lot of time on the metal to do anything to the paint. So I think we have to bust out something hotter, though not nearly as impressive. Burnt car paint smells like bacon. That's what you can take away from this. It's not because of the bacon. I think it's a little late to be detailing.
It's definitely grease.
All right, so we got grease running down the roof moldings. Otherwise, I think this came out pretty good. I didn't want to go too crazy with it and absolutely torch the thing. I did want to patina the pillar just a little bit. That was the black primer part where they pulled a massive dent out where it was buckled from the first time it caught on fire, which I guess we can say now. This is the second time it's on fire. And really, this is just proper preparation if you ask me. Usually at these trade shows, cars catch on fire during the show, after the show, driving away from the show. Figured I'd just get it out of the way first. So I don't even really think it's a stretch. One could probably argue that this is the responsible thing to do. This stupidity that you've just watched for the last, I don't know, however long, this was a good idea.
It's in a control area.
Controlled area, yes, exactly. Good way to put it. Makes it sound a lot safer than it actually was. I asked for a fire extinguisher. I guess I didn't technically specify that it was full.
Yeah.
Next time though.
You have to specify.
That was an oversight. But to be fair, we did have the half-gallon container where we defrosted the bacon, so if things really went south, we'd have probably been fine. That's all the things I expected to walk out into the shop to. Really? You realize what we did to this car yesterday, right?
Yeah, but it was on the bad side.
You lit it on fire.
But it was the bad
You
side.
cooked bacon on the roof.
It was the bad side.
Today's the day. We got to trim this thing out. We have to get it somewhat presentable, PRI presentable, if you will, as laughable as that sounds. I think we can do it. I can't lie to you guys, I am really happy with the way this thing came out. From this angle, the car looks at least close to what it would have looked like when it came off the dealer floor, and that's the first time we've ever been able to say that about this thing. Presentable, sure. Respectable, I don't know, that's kind of debatable, but at least we took care of things like that melted off side skirt. Well, let me clarify. On this side we did. Over here on the burnt side, I just decided to leave it as is. I figured if the side of the car is going to be burnt, why not leave the side skirt burnt to match? I personally think it looks kind of cool. I did realize when we first painted it that it just looks naked here, and something about putting a factory badge on this car, it just doesn't sit well with me. Don't get me wrong, I love the Demon logo. It's tough, but for this particular Demon, I figured this was more its style. I decided to try my hand at 3D printing for the first time, spent all of 30 seconds designing this thing, and somehow it came out awesome. The one thing I do want to do to it is try to get rid of these 3D printing lines, and I read you can do it with a lighter. This is just a giant lighter, so it should work. To be clear, it didn't really work well the first time, but I think I may have overdone it on the heat.
That's definitely Pikachu.
That's not Pikachu, I promise you that. I know it looks kind of jacked up. This is, I guess, what you would call intentionally jacked up. As you can see, we very precisely measured this as to exact OEM specification. Right about there?
Probably.
The best part here is there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's whatever the hell we say it is.
We make the rules now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Look at me, sure. Look at me.
I'm the Demon now. I guess before we put glue on the eyes, do we put them... Well, we gotta stick with the OG, the flat eyes, right?
Man, look at that.
I wouldn't say it looks good. The eyes are melted at like a 20-degree slant. One's facing up, one's facing down. But I mean, it does look kind of sick. I don't think there's a single part of this car that I've put together that I've stressed about as much as this. I don't know why. It makes no sense whatsoever, but I'm digging it. Apparently some of you guys were too, because when I posted a teaser about this in the community tab, a few of you, for God knows what reason, said that you kind of want one of these. So I'm going to 3D print a couple more. I'll throw them up on LeeCparts.com and I'll put a link in the description. And just saying that, I feel like this is the point where we're actual YouTubers. We're trying to peddle people cheap, gimmicky junk. I don't know what's next in the YouTube merch landscape. $70 t-shirts, win this Dodge Demon at $50,000 cash. One thing I do know though, is we have like a 9-hour drive to figure it out. Son of a bitch. Things are going just absolutely flawless. We left about 3 hours before sunrise. I pulled over to do a little bit of a strap check now that the sun is somewhere around. As luck would have it, in the true spirit of this Demon build, we have to go through about 15 or 20 miles of snow. It's not that big of a deal, but this is exactly the point in the trip where a tire decides to go flat. Hey, let's look at the bright side here. The snow's lightening up a little bit. We gotta stay optimistic. As much of an inconvenience as this is, you gotta remember things can always be worse. I've lost hubs on trailers before, and to be honest, if that happened out here, it's probably going down that boat ramp straight into the lake. We're packing up the truck and going back to Maryland. On another note, we are burning our only spare with 6.5 hours left to go in the trip. I got a good feeling. I think she's gonna behave now. Team, we made it. The car is an absolute nightmare. It's disgusting. There was salt, sleet, snow. Pretty much everything that could have got thrown at the car did. Not that it really matters, but you know. As for the drive, absolutely 100% trouble-free, super easy, except that one very small period of about 30 minutes coming through the mountains. And now we've reached the PRI weekend portion of the video, which will be crudely voiced over because of the very loud and most certainly copyrighted music blaring in the background. Big thank you to the guys at Mantic Clutch USA. Their invite's probably the only reason we're able to bring this multicolored bacon grease cover piece of junk into the show. And no, that is not an exaggeration. I legitimately forgot to clean the bacon grease off the roof. Oh, and here's my new Supercharger badge. It was not drawn by a 3-year-old. Jokes aside, it was awesome to meet so many of you guys, and it was a true honor to have the Demon in here sharing the floor with some legendary race cars. Can't talk inside PRI, but we can definitely talk out here. This is the point where I was gonna come outside and give you a rundown on everything we've done with the car wiring wise, but that all just got a lot shorter. The short story is we flashed the ECU to manual, we wired in a clutch switch, we put in a manual RF hub, or at least tried to. We did all the typical tricks you would do to an old Hellcat when you're, say, putting in a Turbo 400 or swapping in a manual like we did. Now you notice I said an older Hellcat. We have a 2020 red-eye electrical system running this car. It doesn't work, none of it works, nobody can figure it out, including people that are just worlds, leaps and bounds, so much smarter than I am. We've been trying to crack this thing for like a month and we just have not been having any headway. There are a few more things we're gonna try, but none of it matters anymore because there was always one surefire way to get this thing running and we just did it. To go from bringing this car to PRI with no solution whatsoever to get it running, basically just hoping that somebody or I, which isn't likely, could figure it out, to now taking it out of here, going back to the shop and hopefully having all the parts we need waiting for us. What a difference a couple days make.
That one Fernando horsepower.
One Fernando power. Come on, Mosh, go. This is all fine and dandy down here, but I think we're gonna need a little extra muscle getting up the ramp. What's that old saying about Mopar or no car? Something like that. Either way, that's just the muscle we needed to get this thing up the ramp, out of PRI, and get headed back on the 9-hour trip home. Now we got even more muscle here with dogs. I have to say, getting pulled out of an NFL stadium by a Viper Comp group, never in my life did I think that would happen, but while we're on the topic, go check out his charity, NavySealsFund.org. Awesome cause, awesome group of guys. Well, I think that's about gonna do it. PRI 2023 in the books. Big thank you to Mantic Clutch for inviting us out here. I know we didn't film a lot, but we got a ton of awesome connections for future projects. And I suppose now it's time to make the 9-hour trek home, which hopefully goes a little better than the ride here. Tear this thing, get working on it. We'll leave it there. If we have any hope of getting, this is so stupid. All right.
You might as well like, is that your car? What a piece of shit.
Load that piece of shit back on the trailer right now. This stuff has really got hard.
That's what she said.
I was waiting for it.
I mean, it was there, you know?